Welcome to the Victory Multisport Podcast. This is Coach Sarge, and I'm with Coach Scott.
Hey there.
Hey, Coach Scott, how are you doing today?
Doing all right.
Fantastic. And we are so excited for this episode of the podcast because we have three guests here in the studio with us today. We have representatives from our Young Guns team. So Gus Villas-Boas.
Yeah.
Yes. Caroline Beard.
Hello.
How you doing? And Trevin Seski.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for all three of you being here with us. We're super excited to talk with you, hear more about your journeys as part of our Young Guns team to come to victory, but where you've been, experiences you've already had in your, we'll call you young lives, sorry. We got the table is set up a little bit here with the generation gap in the middle. So it's quite all right, but we really appreciate you guys. We get so excited when we see you perform in the races and how you train and how you go about being you and doing the sport as well. Don't you think so, Coach Scott?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the enthusiasm. It is definitely contagious. The energy that you guys consistently bring, and I know we'll dive into a lot of this stuff, but it is always appreciated and sincerely. Caroline and I were just talking about this. Every time she sends me a speed workout, I feel like
you got to go run.
I got to see if I can go. Yeah, so it's great.
Yeah, you feel it the next day though.
Many days.
All right. So let's dive in. So Gus, how are you today?
I'm great.
It's great.
But now I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being with us and representing the group, and really one of the first ones to join us. It's not quite a year, but really close to about a year ago.
Yeah.
We met up with your dad, and you started coming along with him, and you were doing Hawaii 70.3 on the schedule. And we're like, really, have you ever done this before? And they're like, no, we haven't. And like, maybe we can help. So how was that experience racing with your father in Hawaii for the first time in an Ironman?
It was awesome, life-changing, and probably the most humbling thing I've ever done, I think.
Yeah.
I was just so excited, like meeting you guys and getting ready to race and being so energized, and then getting there and really coming to find out about how much of the sport is like getting ready to change and make swaps on the fly and adjust and just do the work on the day of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we were so excited for you guys, especially having not really being able to go with you to Hawaii, but watching the tracker and making sure you guys were coming through, and you guys hit every mark. So yeah, we'll come back to that a little bit. And Caroline, relatively new, probably the newest member of the three of you joining the team. So you have a little bit of a different story coming from collegiate running, right?
Yeah. I did cross country and track. Started in high school as a way to get in shape for soccer because I was a big soccer player, and told my coach I was never quitting soccer for running. And then I did quit soccer for running. I ran for a couple years at Pitt Division I, but then got a pretty major injury, and so had to step away from running cross country and track for a while, and just kind of like did my own thing on my own for the rest of college, just kind of trained on my own. And always knew I wanted to do an Ironman someday. It was always like a bucket list thing for me. And so I graduated college back in April, and I was like, hey, why not? Why not do an Ironman? Like, let's go.
Yeah, I love it.
There you go. Fantastic. Not originally from Pittsburgh, right?
No. Yeah, I'm from Northern Virginia, like near Washington, D.C., but came to Pitt for college. And then now I work as a nurse still in Pittsburgh. So stayed around after school.
Great. Thanks for sharing those little tidbits about your college career. And I know you still really enjoy the runs.
As definitely
you
my favorite of the three disciplines.
Okay. We can maybe change that over time. You never know.
I don't know. We'll see.
So, all good. And we don't have to. We're not trying to. Just sometimes it does change, right? So, and Trevin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm fantastic. So, interestingly enough, you grew up in the same neighborhood as Coach Scott, and kind of he's known your family for quite a while and seen you grow up in the neighborhood. So it was kind of interesting when he started telling Coach Kenny and I about, hey, this kid in the neighborhood, I'm talking to him and talking to his mom, and he seems like he might want to do something. So it's great. So tell us your bit of a story real quick.
Yeah, so I played football and baseball growing up. Those were my two sports. I didn't really like baseball as much as football, but to keep a long story short, in high school, my freshman year, I was in class after gym class. I had a really high heart rate, and I went to the nurse. She put a pulse ox on me, and my heart rate was like 236.
Whoa.
So yeah, ended up getting taken to the hospital, and long story short, 3 years later, I had 3 heart surgeries.
Okay.
No longer played football or baseball, and since then didn't really play any sports. Picked this up. I started running. My sister wanted me to shout her out on the podcast because she's the reason that I got into this sport.
Way to get that in early.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But in January, she was like, do you want to do the Pittsburgh Half Marathon with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I signed up. In April, I went down and talked to Scott about maybe getting a bike, and I saw his enthusiasm for the sport.
Right.
Really.
And what's your sister's name?
Kaylee.
Hey, Kaylee, you got him in.
Yeah.
Now he's stuck, right?
She told me before the podcast, she's like, you better shout me out.
Yeah. He's all the way in. He's all the way in. And since you're a runner too, we need you to join up too as well, Kaylee.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so she doesn't run as much anymore.
That's okay.
Throwing that
we
out
can
there,
fix
but,
that. We'll put a training plan together for you and post it.
Yeah.
So.
But Scott, his like enthusiasm really got me interested in the sports.
Yeah, it's great. That's
Ever
great.
since then, he's been putting in my training peaks and keeping me in shape.
Yeah, and since that time, I've met your mom at the races and your girlfriend and some others that you're in your life. So that's fantastic, and it's great to see them get excited for you and see that spark again of athletic endeavor. That I think everybody was concerned with your health, of course, but you had to make choices in that time. But it's great that you're finding something new as you're growing up. So
Trevin is becoming legendary with his friends as well.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So I was at the pit game and was stopped by one of his friends who probably chatted about him for about like 15 minutes. Just how proud he was of him.
That's
and
good.
the accomplishments, and it was a really neat moment. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So, all of you, college, post-college, in that early 20s time frame of life, and really, fun and exciting for you and really for us to see you be able to find the sport that we enjoy and that we love and get involved and represent Victory personally and as a group, really. It makes it exciting for us as we talk about it. We have weekly calls with the owners, and Coach and I, he's always bringing you up in some way, right? Coach Kenny's always talking about you, Gus, and things that he's excited and proud of you for. And, we were able to see you race recently. I was in North Carolina with you at your last 70.3. So, and that was super exciting to see you come out of the water, like really leading the pack there, and had a great day. So what was that day all about for you in North Carolina? I know it was, I think PR was probably the goal of the day, right?
Yeah, coming out of Hawaii, having my first 70.3, I was really excited to just race, having an experience of what it was like being less tense about being a race and more just, I'm here to have a good time. And I came in not even thinking about a PR. I was like, well, if I just stick to my Hawaii pace, my training will get me past my timeline. And then I just kept, every time I came through the transition, I was like, don't tell me my time. Don't tell me my time. Don't tell me my time. And then when I got to the end and my family was near the line, they're like, dude, like, keep it up. I was like, no way. I crossed the line, and I think if I knew the pace that I was on, I would have collapsed like halfway through my run. But it was awesome. It was
that's great.
Having a good time. It was
a beautiful
a good
day.
Race. Yeah.
That was a
Gussie,
pretty cool course.
Come back to your original race in Hawaii. Was it, so you did that with your dad.
Yeah.
Did he encourage you? Like, did he sign up first and then say, come on, let's do this together? Or did you see it and then bring him along? Like, how did that dynamic, kind of come about?
So we had been talking like vaguely about Ironmans and just the idea near like the end of last year, near Thanksgiving 2023.
Was he an athlete at all?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'll give him a little bit of credit. But I come from background in swimming. I did high school swim.
Okay.
But besides that, just a bunch of other like pickup sports in college.
And water polo too, right?
Yeah, I did swim, water polo, zero background in running. I think I can count on my hand like how many times I ran in high school. And then at the end of last year, he was like, hey, we're talking about me leaving on my mission, whole thing. But he's like, hey, how about you prep for this and I'll prep for the Ironman, and we'll celebrate this in Hawaii in the middle of the year. And kind of on a whim, just like I just said yes, and he caught off guard, and we started prepping from there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was exciting. I mean, I've talked to your dad, and his version of that same story is that he was trying to push you outside your comfort zone,
Yeah.
right, and get you to start to make decisions, life decisions, not hard ones, but things that as a young person you have to kind of make a decision on where you want to be, where you want to go, how you're going to make the next step. And so I know 1,000% how proud he is of you for, challenging him to go on the journey with you by accepting his, the gauntlet that he threw down a little bit.
Yeah.
And, it's pushed him, of course, to get out of his comfort zone, especially in the pool. I know that he, was one of the things that Coach Kenny really, helped him with to make sure that he was safe and that he was proficient and that he was able to make these races. So, but he is definitely 1,000% proud of you and all their brothers and sisters as well, what they're going to accomplish in their lives. So congratulations for that.
Thanks, Coach.
Love it.
Absolutely. So Trevin, we've been around Victory now a little bit. You're working on these, the local race scene, right? And doing fantastic. I know this has all been brand new for you as well, as far as triathlon and putting all these things together, but I know you came to our race camp last June and you participated. You had no qualms about participating in the swim relay, even though you thought in your head, I have no idea what I'm doing.
I was hoping you were just going to let me, practice on my own.
Stand on the sidelines? Yeah. No way.
And then Kenny threw me in. Yeah,
Kenny pulled you right in.
I was swimming the complete wrong direction out to Kenny, but it worked out. But going into that, I had no prior background in the swim, bike, or run, other than starting for the training for the half marathon in January. But no, the race camp, it was super overwhelming. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't know what I was doing, especially in the pool, showing up to the Richland Swim Club. My head was out of the water. I didn't have a swim cap. I'm swimming next to Tandy, and I just saw on Victory's Instagram a couple weeks prior that she did Cocodona 250. Oh, yeah. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm swimming with this legend, She's the Cocodona. But no, that helped me a lot. And then I've been doing the local races and hoping to
been killing it too
next year to.
I know you've taken Coach Scott to the woodshed a couple times on some hills too on the bike.
Him and Gussie and Nate. Right. That is one I think I am still sore from.
Yeah. Gus can back me up on this, but Scott always says, he's like, oh, take it easy. I'm the older guy. He and Nate just dropped. He likes to play the old guy card, but he can smoke all of us on the bike, no doubt.
Yeah, that's a little experience coming out. Did he get your wallet first? Like, hey, I got you $20 on this hill, right? Sandbag you and then for all morning, and then blast you all afternoon on the bike, right? He's a little hustler there. So
it is really impressive, though. I do appreciate that you did come to camp and you leaned in, just that alone, shows maturity and the willingness to be vulnerable, to go into a situation like that, not knowing the sport, right? Not knowing a lot of us, not really knowing the athletes, but yet showing up, participating, absorbing all the information. I mean, it was great. I was so impressed even just by that. And putting all of the race and, physical accomplishments to the side. I think what you guys will learn over time is just being willing to lean into situations like that will just really pay off. And to see you do that, I mean, that was fantastic. Absolutely great.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And really for the listeners out there that are, watching or listening to the podcast today, that goes for everyone. That's not just young people. That's everybody that's thinking in their mind, I wonder if I could do that. Absolutely you can, right? You can find the right environment, find the right community, find the right advice and counsel to get you to whatever start line you're looking for, whether that's your first run, your first triathlon, your first swim, open water, whatever that challenge might be. So
great point.
Do not, do strip away the anxiety of, I don't know what I'm doing. There is people in the community that will help you. There's people in this team that will help you. There's people in Victory that will help you. And we are here for everyone. So that's great. That's great.
Could I add something?
Absolutely.
So that's the one thing I noticed about at first running was wow, this community is great. But triathlon, like meeting people out at North Park on the bike. Like everyone is so welcoming and so nice, you know, ask how you're doing, give you tips, especially in Victory too. You know, everyone, it really is like a family more than friends. So it's
fantastic.
awesome.
Thank
That's
you for
cool.
that endorsement. We'll take it. We'll put that
Yeah, I had
quote on
one
the
lady
website.
from North Park literally like give me her old wetsuit for free. She's like, I don't want any money for this. Like, I'm just excited to see young people get into the sport. And she's
great.
like, she's training for 70.3 world championship, and she's like giving me tips for my first race. And like people are just so welcoming, and it's like, yeah, if you're just bold enough to kind of step into that unknown and just be like, all right, I'm going to try out this sport. I'm going to ask for advice. I'm going to just like be a student and try and learn. Like the community, I feel like I've also felt the same way, that they really come around you. They want to help you, especially you guys too. Like I feel like I'm always sending like either Coach Sarge or Coach Scott like texts, like questions about like, should I buy this? And how should I do this? And like, they're always just like so willing to teach. And like, that's been so fun for me. I feel like having that support as someone who's also new to the sport. Like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was like, oh, swim, bike, and run. Like, I know how to do all three. How hard can it be? And then I start, like, as soon as I committed to Ironman and I'm, like, researching stuff, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, like, bike maintenance and, like, all these just different things and nutrition. And there's so many aspects to it. But, like, if you just jump into that unknown, like, you're going to figure it out. You're going to have people help you. And, like, yeah.
That's great. Thank you for that. We appreciate your endorsement as well. You know, being the elder statesmen of the team, we're not trying to preach to anybody. We just are here willing to share our experiences, having, you know, been involved in the sport for now 13 or 14 years, and having backgrounds in other athletic endeavors. Coach Scott running in college, as a track runner, and myself in the Marine Corps, you know, military fitness and that type of thing. So we bring those experiences from, you know, decades ago into the forefront on how we dealt with things back then and how we, you know, translate that to the modern, you know, athletic scene today. So we appreciate you guys being willing to listen, unlike some of our kids, you know, that seem like they're not listening, but I think they are. They just don't give us any credit at the time, right? They'll take advice from others. So, but that's just a joke. That's a dad joke, because they're all doing fantastic.
I will say I really do appreciate on the level that I can really relate to each one of you on different aspects. You know, Gussie, the reason I was asking about your dad is that's how I got involved with endurance sports, right? Like decades ago, it was my father sort of leaning into that space, and I wanted to join him with that, right? And Caroline, with running, right? I ran in college, so I know all about like the double workouts and the running through injuries and meets on weekends when everybody else is going out and stuff like that. Like I can totally relate to that. And Trev, I've had injuries as well. Like I had one with my leg that was fairly devastating that I was told I probably wouldn't run again, right? So I can appreciate the willingness to like come back from that. So, you know, when I you know, interact with you guys, I do so in a manner that I feel like I'm so excited because I feel like I can connect with you on those different aspects. And then I see, right, like the willingness to do different things. And I know what this sport has done for me throughout my life in terms of giving me confidence to walk into a meeting room or something, right? And not totally understanding what's going on, but yet being able to lean in there and be successful. I think that what you guys will find over time is that you're going to draw a lot out of this sport into other aspects of your life, which is probably why you see the woman at North Park willing to like, you know, just willingly give. Right. Like, you know, I think you're going to find it's a very nurturing community and very encouraging. And it is truly exciting to see you guys be a part of it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, Caroline, I wanted to bring you up more and hear more about when you were running. You know, what was your go-to events, and you know, how did that all come to be? You obviously ran in high school to get picked up for Pitt and run at Pitt. So so
high school we do the 1600, in college it's a 1500, but that was always my favorite.
Okay.
So 1600, 3200 were kind of my races. Sometimes I'd dip down to the 800, but nothing lower than that. Not a sprinter. I enjoyed kind of the middle distance stuff. I liked cross country too, but like track was my favorite. I can't imagine like you see cross country, like the guys do 10Ks, and that was always, I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I like the kind of middle of the pack sort of distance stuff, like anything from really the mile up to the 5K is what I like.
Absolutely. So I get mentally the cross country aspect of longer distances. What I don't get is, I do see this in the Olympics, and because I don't follow track, but I see a 10K on a track, right? Mm-hmm. That's insane.
Yeah.
That many laps on a track.
I think it's insane too.
And then, I don't even know how they keep from getting dizzy. They're going around so rapidly. So that's just my perspective of that. I did run track in high school myself. I was a sprinter, and I was a long jumper. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I'm 5'8". My legs are only like 2 feet tall, right? But that's, I was very small high school. They're like, okay, who do we have? Okay, you're doing this, you're doing this. And the head football coach was the track coach, right? If you get how that worked. So if you wanted to play for him, you did what he said in spring track.
Yeah.
Right? So
my coach did at one point throw me in a 4x200 meter relay.
There you go.
To practice on speed. I saw like the meet list, and I asked him if it was a joke. I was like, is this like a typo? Like, did you mean to put somebody else's name? He's like, no, like you're running this relay. So that was a little interesting. So I guess I dabbled in sprints for one race, and I said never again.
Yeah. So you had that injury, and you had to come off the varsity, but you stayed in club. I know you said that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So I had a fracture in my sacrum, which was like 3 months on crutches. Took me, really, it was like 10 months before I could even start running again. So that was pretty significant. It was my first time ever being out of running for more than like 2 or 3 weeks. So definitely like learned so much from that. Really kind of made me who I am today, and it made me realize how much I loved the sport, like stepping away from it. And so I knew I wanted to keep running in some capacity, but I knew kind of the Division I environment wasn't going to be right for me anymore. So I did club, was able to enter also a lot of NCAA meets unattached. So I did that, trained on my own.
Wow.
Like just kind of did workouts and trained as hard as I did when I ran Division I, just like on my own terms kind of now. And was able to get healthy again. And I just knew like I had so much untapped potential in the sport and just endurance sports in general. So still here getting after it post collegiately. I think it's just like so fun that you get to still challenge yourself no matter where you're at in life. And I think that's what's so cool about the sport is you graduate college and there's still so many opportunities to push your limits and try new things. So I'm really excited for triathlons coming up and just seeing what I can do. Absolutely.
And we love your excitement about it, and it's infectious in a lot of different ways. So my daughter, to digress, was a competitive gymnast growing up, and the gym told us she is going to be so focused on things. She's going to be a great student if she stays in this sport, right? So it teaches you discipline. And I think that I see something like that in you when I see that you are a nurse in the ER, right? Or I'm sorry, in the ICU. ICU nurse. Can't be a low intensity work environment that you're in,
definitely
right?
not.
And, but yet you're still craving, the adrenaline that you get and the runner's high that you get from doing athletic things. And, you're putting it all together, you're keeping it together. And, I think it's just exciting to see that. And, that's just, I can tell from the discipline that you had growing up in sport, how you're translating that into your adult life. And that's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like, sports is like a microcosm for life. I feel like the lessons you learn in sports, it makes me a better nurse, makes me a better person. And then vice versa. The stuff I learn in nursing makes me a better athlete. And so it just kind of is like full circle. But I feel like I also get so much motivation from seeing you guys and all the other just Victory athletes, because it's like, the first thing I noticed, I think, when I first came to Victory was just like the enthusiasm. Like everyone's so excited, so passionate. And then it's like, I see you guys are still doing races, like getting after it. There's so many athletes that are adults, that are married, they have kids, they have careers, and like they're still training. And I think that was really inspiring for me, because my first like thought was like, okay, can I even do this Ironman as a nurse? Like, is this even realistic? Am I crazy for wanting to do this? And then I see other people in our community that are working jobs and have families and are still doing Ironmans and like achieving really big goals. And that was when I knew I was like, okay, I can do this too. And so I think the community's been really great. And like, we all kind of build off each other. And like you said, the enthusiasm just like is really infectious.
That's great. Thank you for that.
That's a great sort of lesson to learn early on, which is put yourself around people that are going to help you achieve, right? Like, you want to surround yourself with individuals that are going to encourage you to be the best version of whatever that is, right? So that's really good to hear.
And look for competition, right? So be on teams that have that slight bit of competition and have people that are you're going to elevate 2 levels. So if you're in a room of not so high performers, you're going to drop down to that level. If you're in a room of high performers, you're going to elevate. It may take a little bit and you may take some work, but people will naturally do that. So whether you find that professionally, personally, being judged by who you surround yourself with. So that's great advice. That's awesome.
What's your ultimate goal in the sport? Do you have one?
Oh, man. I don't know. I think
We're going to ask everybody that.
Yeah.
So be ready.
Oh, gosh.
Nice.
I'll have a better answer probably after my first Ironman to see. I mean, I'd love to go to World Championships someday. I'll put that out there.
Yeah.
There it is. I heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You heard it first on the Victory Multisport podcast.
I don't know, though. I don't know if I want to
to.
switch back over to more running focused stuff. Definitely Boston Marathon. Absolutely. Sub 3 hour marathon. I think those are like my 2 biggest goals right now. Well, really the sub 3 hour marathon I want to go for, and just hit some big PRs in running. But I mean, World Championships would be cool for Ironman too, if I decide to chase after that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. That's great, though. You've got them. All right. Who's next? Big goals.
Same question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Gus.
Oh, I want to qualify. I want to compete at Worlds. And
Okay.
I think after getting into Ironman, I just developed a much deeper appreciation for just not endurance, but just racing in general. I think I want to get that crown jewel to say, and then I'd want to do something like 100K and then just push, like do that and then get my each like crown jewel, I guess, in the running, and then bike ride, and then do something like like coast to coast swim type deal. So
Like
I
a
think,
am.
Yeah, I want to do
Race across America.
All right.
Yeah.
Coach Scott will go with you.
I
He'll do the
absolutely
relay
will
with
do
you,
that
right?
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to do Ironman first, and I think I just want to stick to just endurance sports.
Yeah.
I like the way it's pushing me.
It's awesome. Thank you. Trev.
Kind of the same thing as Gus.
Okay.
Know? I want to try to maybe get a world slot one day.
Okay.
For the full, definitely the half. Boston qualifying would be great. But I mean, I want to pack everything into right now. Like, I just impulsively signed up for a marathon in April, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I was just talking to my girlfriend yesterday that I want to do an ultra marathon soon. So
Did you tell your coach that you signed up
yeah,
for it?
after I signed up, though, I have to add that.
After you signed up. Yeah.
But
Hey, coach, I just signed up.
Yeah.
But like, I was talking to Scott, because I just did my first triathlon in August, and I was talking to him a couple weeks ago, like, do you think I'd be ready for Placid next year? Because I just want to get it all in as soon as I can, but I'm trying to pace myself and, build up to it. But definitely World Championship, some ultra races, maybe 100K, 100 mile eventually one day. And then just some of the, like Gus said, like longer bike rides.
Yeah,
and stuff like
amazing stuff. I mean, by the time this podcast drops, we'll have had Ryan Sipple compete at Ironman Kona in October, and we'll have had 4 of our athletes compete in the Ironman 70.3 World Championship in New Zealand. Brian Leake, Denali, Hunselman, and Angie Pinion, and Emily Melton as well. Emily being one of our other young guns as well. So representing the crew in New Zealand this year. So fantastic stuff. Emily doing Ironman Lake Placid last year as well, and potentially qualifying, even though she wasn't able to take her slot, or was not intending to take a slot because she was already committed to some of these other trips. So, but doing well in the sport as well. So.
I will say I love the goals, and definitely be patient with a lot of that stuff,
So
right?
hard to be patient.
It
I just
is.
want to do it all now.
I know. And the reason I say that is because I have been in the half championships, and I've run at Boston, and I literally took a crack at Boston in my 30s and just missed, and was super discouraged, and almost swore I was never going to try it again. Like, I felt like I pushed all the chips in and was trying it, and was very, very frustrated. And then I came back around and tried it again and was able to get it. And I actually did it. I actually qualified like twice in the same year. So, I mean, my advice would be don't let go of any of those types of dreams or achievements that you guys want to target, because like, look, that's the beauty of being in this sport, right? For your entire life is you can get there, right? It's just, you just have to be patient and you've got to be, persistent, and it'll come.
Yeah. I think I like really what Gus and Trev said about like, how the sport challenges you and it kind of just redefines what your normal is. And so I feel like I have some just like goals and things I want to do that like I never thought I'd want to do a couple of years back. But now I'm like, hey, if I can do this, then I can do this other race too. And I think since being a nurse too, I always said I would never do like a 24-hour ultra marathon. I was like, those people are too crazy. Like, that's not me.
Correct.
But I feel like after working night shifts as a nurse, I'm like, wait, like I could do this.
Absolutely.
So that's another goal. I'm going to add that to my list, is do one of those like however far you can run in 24-hour type races.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've hit on one of the golden rules of victory is if you ever say you're never, you will.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'll never. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're signing up for ultras. You're signing up for more races. You're signing up for bigger things. It does happen. That's a Coach Sargeism. I told Kenny that the very first time when he said, yeah, we're going to do this. I'm like, I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to bike. I'm never doing that. Did not take long to break that down and to just start chipping away at it. So it's exciting stuff. And, that's a defense mechanism to say I never, right? And that's just a human nature thing to kind of put a little caveat on a statement, but just wipe it away, because you will, if you stick with it, if you're consistent, if you get the right community around you, you're in, and it'll all happen. And things will happen for all three of you when it's the right time for each of you individually, right? As your aspirations are hitting right now and you want to go, the reality of you're working, you're going on mission, you're still in school, the economics of what it costs to do all these races in 1 year, not probably feasible, right? It happens. You got to spread those things out. You got to work at them. So to Coach Scott's point, be patient, be consistent, be leaning in, be constantly open to new things and learning, and you're going to get that much better. So when you do it and you do accomplish that BQ, or you do accomplish, the world slot that you're going to go in, it's going to taste that much sweeter. That victory is going to be that much better for you, having taken the time to do it the right way. So that's awesome, right? We're not just checking boxes here, really. We are building ourselves and building each other up in some ways. What
do you guys feel like your biggest accomplishment has been so far? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a PR or anything like that, but like, is there anything in particular where you thought, I'm not sure I can do this, and then you were able to hit it or go beyond? Like, is there anything that was sort of a aha moment or a little bit of a breakthrough?
Mm-hmm.
I would say not necessarily any times or any, physical goals, but just the mornings that, waking up at like 4:15, having to go to the Y and swim. It's cold out, you got to stand in line to get a slot in the pool. And it's like, I would rather just stay in bed right now. And just those days when nothing else you'd rather do but lay in bed, and you get yourself up out of bed, go do that, have a long day at work, still have a long run afterwards, and go and do those things. I think that's like the biggest accomplishment, is not only just in endurance sports, but also in life, being able to condition yourself to, when your mind says no, just push through anyways.
It's awesome.
Love it.
It's pretty deep.
That is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I think the adaptability of racing, but especially with like day on race day and coming up to it, I think I like what I mentioned with humbling in Hawaii was just that I came in with very like an overall time goal, and once things started to fall out of place, it just really took me out of the race. And then doing it again in North Carolina and being able to just enjoy the race and going like mile by mile, stretch by stretch, it was a complete shift in how I operate. I think it just being able to take things half mile at a time, split by split. It just I felt like a big paradigm shift in just how I operate between those two races.
It's amazing.
As a lifelong runner, my very first marathon, I DNF'd. And for me, that was huge, right? Like I was in that spot where I felt like I had a time goal in mind and I was going to go after this and it was going to be like this great day. And it was the polar opposite. and, you know, for me, it was that, Gussie. It was kind of coming back, right? And like readjusting and figuring out like, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? And then ultimately I ended up, you know, in Boston on the biggest stage. So, you know, that's, you know, to hear that is a great lesson, right? To learn early on. That's great.
And I think that's some of what I was saying before. It's going to come when it's right for you. And, you know, whether that was your preparation, Coach Scott, or your just mental state going into the race that affected that particular first marathon, it wasn't the time. Because if you'd have done it, it probably would have set you on a different trajectory than the one you actually ultimately were on, right? It maybe reset some couple switches in your head that needed to be reset.
I'll tell you too.
You got to take it as that.
It's the reaction to moments like that as well, right? Like I could have packed it in and never gone after it again. And instead it like lit the fire and I doubled down and I went after it. Right. And that is something I definitely see in a lot of you guys. Like you definitely, you go after it. Right. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel like I learned a lot from like being injured. That's actually really where I got into biking and swimming. And I think that's when like triathlon kind of that idea was forming in my brain, like those lonely hours by myself, cross training and like having these puddles of sweat. I was like, wait, like I might be able to do something with this injured time. Like I can use this to develop my cross training skills and then do triathlons down the road, versus if I'd never gotten injured, I'd probably still be doing running, which like obviously I'm going to do a lot more running races someday. I love running. I want to keep doing marathons and things like that, and maybe some track races. But like this whole new area of triathlon like came out of that injured time. And I think like when I think back on accomplishments I'm most proud of, I think really what everyone has said, just the daily disciplines, I think is what I'm most proud of kind of not being afraid to like just put myself in a situation, even if I feel like maybe I don't belong there, just being like, hey, I do belong there. Like, why not me? Like, let's just try this, kind of having that like belief in yourself. And I think even just training as a nurse, like so many people are like, oh, you're crazy. But then I think Coach Scott actually brought this up, which totally flipped my perspective, because I was talking to him. I was like, man, I got to work these night shifts and 12-hour shifts and, you know, flipping between day shift and night shift and back again. And am I going to be able to do this? And he was like, well, if you think about it, like, yeah, the 12-hour shifts are hard those days. It's like hard to get in a very big training session, but you have 4 days off during the week. Like you have a random Wednesday where you can get in your 4-hour bike ride and everyone else is in the office. And so like, I think that really flipped my perspective of like, wait, yeah, I can do this. Like it's going to look different, but like just finding a way to make things happen and like being disciplined, waking up early, going to bed early, like all those things. I think that's what like I'm most proud of, because it's like made me the person I am today. I'm sure everyone else can probably relate to that feeling.
That's really great. And, you know, I was going to bring up the nursing as something that I'm sure the first time you stepped into that ICU, having graduated, you were like, am I supposed to really be here?
Yeah.
This is not supposed to happen this fast. And then you're pushed in there. This is your job now. So, and I'm sure you did well to absorb what you needed to absorb and get used to the routines and the procedures that the hospital had. So congratulations for all of that, right? And congratulations for being who you are and how you approach these things, because I think it's a great example for all three of you guys are great examples, and your teammates in Nate and Emily and Shaq and everybody else in this Young Guns group, showing the world what young people can do and how you can go about your personal development, your professional development, your athletic development, and continue to balance those things through life. And I think it's really, really cool.
You know, one thing I really appreciate is often when we have people come in here, they're closer to our age, right? We talk about you know, hey,
maybe
this is
Scott's age.
Yeah. And we talk about like, hey, the sport positively influences your family, right? Like your spouse or your kids will come along and they'll lean into this and all this other stuff. But the thing that I really appreciate with you guys is that it's flipped.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely.
And you guys are way more influential than I think you probably recognize. Coming back to my prior comment about Trevin's friend stopping me at the pit game. Caroline, somebody called me like randomly and just said, hey, I was talking to Caroline and I'm at the bike shop and she's so excited, right? And
now she's an athlete.
Yeah.
Right?
Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Mackenzie,
Yeah, shout out Mackenzie.
Yeah, Mackenzie. You're
mean,
next
it's
on the
great.
podcast.
It just goes to show it doesn't matter, you know, at what age or level of athlete you are. If you're genuinely excited about something and you end up speaking and being true to who you are, you know, you end up speaking to somebody about that, they're going to pick up on that, and chances are they're going to gravitate towards it and maybe even act on it. So I just so much appreciate that, because I feel like, again, often we talk about sort of the elder statespeople, right? Yeah. Like influencing the younger generation, but now it's flipped. It's really cool.
Well, it's definitely even a trend in the sport, right? So the sport was born 35 or 40 years ago by middle-aged people, right? They really were. And they were athletes, and they started Ironman and they started triathlon and really got the resurgence within the United States of that sport. But now it's filtering. Now those folks are going to Kona in the 70 to 74 time, you know, age group, but their grandkids and everybody else are coming up, and it is filtering back down to younger and younger people being involved. What I wanted to make a comment on that, Scott, and for all three of you is, you know, genuine positivity is attractive. So whether you're, you know, even if you're not even speaking it, by people observing your behavior, your attitude, your discipline, your getting up at 4:15, just knowing that from your friends, they're like, man, he's a beast. Like they don't want to do that either. And they just haven't found that way to break through it, or found that motivation to get into something that, you know, is worth getting up for 4:15, right? And making a workout. So congratulations to all three of you on that front, and your teammates. It's really, really fantastic. So, Caroline, I wanted to talk more about, maybe we'll get a little personal on some of you guys, and just talk a little bit about, you know, what, how's the job? You know, you're 7 or 8 or 9 months into it now, right?
Actually only
Since
3
May?
months, and I started in August. Yeah.
Oh, August. I thought it was right after you graduated. So you had
Yeah.
the summer off, and then
I took the summer off. My
Okay.
sister lives in Germany, so I went to visit her.
That's great.
Traveled a bit and then started.
So
Yeah.
even better, 3 months, and you're in an ICU here helping people for sure. You know, what's exciting about the work? how's your professional life?
Yeah, so I've just always been like really fascinated with the medical field. I've loved helping people, just getting to serve people, because I think it's like I find the most life when I'm like getting to serve other people and give back and kind of be a part of something bigger than myself. And so that's been really cool. I love the team aspect of the medical field. It's like, you know, it's the nurses, the surgeons, everybody's a team. And it's just really cool to connect with people, connect with your patients, especially in the ICU environment. You know, it's like a lot of people, like, you don't know what's going to happen the next day. And so you really get to comfort that family, the patient, be there for them. So that's really special to get to make a really tangible impact with my job. Definitely challenging, though, very tiring. You can never really turn your brain off because you're in charge of that patient, and there's no margin for error, really, but it really challenges my brain.
That's why they're there with you, right?
Yeah,
Because
it challenges me. And so I really enjoy that. I'm a very big structure schedule person. I like routine, and I have had none of that with work because it's like I'm working, like last week I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night shift. This week I'm working Monday day shift, Wednesday day shift, Thursday night, Friday night. And it's like, it's just different days. Some weeks I'm working weekends. And so like, I've had to really adjust that with like trying to plan my training, where it's like, oh, I can't have every Saturday be my long run day. It's got to be depending on my work schedule. So it's really forced me to like adapt and adjust, but I think it's making me a stronger athlete because of it.
Sure. Absolutely. So that's great perspective. And, you know, we're excited for you to be in an environment that you seem to thrive in, even though it is not what you would want to be in a predictable fashion. So you'll have to earn that, I'm sure, with seniority.
Yeah,
and
I
then
have
you get
to earn
pick
it.
your schedule. So, but it's great to have you in our community, and great to have you working hard in the medical field to help those that really need it in that moment.
Thank you.
So that's great. And Trevin, I know that you're, working and going to school still, and, trying to, chase down that education. So how's that going for you? What are you studying? What's your goal there?
Yeah. So right now I'm at Robert Morris. I'm studying financial planning. So hopefully become a financial planner one day and
nice,
help people with their finances. But right now I have class Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 8 to 2:30 essentially. So, and then I'll work Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So I also like structure in my life, and it's nice that I finally, because with the part-time job that I had last year, I worked all different hours.
Random times.
So now, even though I am getting up Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4:15 to swim, it is nice having some structure, but just trying to balance, the education, the work, the triathlon. I think, like everyone says, it makes you a better person. The more you have on your plate, the better you become at balancing your time, fitting in. I know Kenny and you two always talk about fitting in time for your family and friends. And I think just having, school and work and triathlon to balance it, you have to make time for it. So
that's a great point.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's awesome.
Well, good kudos to you. Keep after it, chase down that dream on that education. It's important, and it's not everything, but it's definitely an important step to go ahead and get knocked out, and then you can go off and do whatever you want to do with your life, right? I know that my own personal professional career really found me. So it was just one of those things where I was open to opportunities within an organization, and they said, hey, you'd be good at this. And I'm like, I've never heard of that before, but I'll go do it if you think I'll do a good job. And sure enough, 32 years later, doing, pretty damn well at it. And that was from somebody 30 years ago telling me I'd be good at something that I had no idea what it was, but it was great. So kudos to you. Gus, you're going on your mission. I wanted to bring this up and let you talk a little bit about that. It's really important to you and your family, and, and you have no idea where you're being sent.
Now I do.
Okay, good.
I got it back. So, well, I'm going on a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for 2 years. I got my call back. I'm going to Boston.
Okay.
Speaking Spanish for 2 years and teaching the word. Yeah, but that was a big jump for me.
Okay.
For people that aren't familiar, it's like commonly a thing that you go at 18, and I kind of pushed it off. And then, like you said, like my dad wanted to push me out of my comfort zone. And he was like, hey, how about you give this a real, give it some real thought. Like, try to get ready for it, see if it's something that you want to do. And while you're doing that hard thing, I'll actually focus on training for this Ironman. And from there, it kind of just took off. And after a year or so of prepping, now I know where I'm going, and I leave at the end of January.
Right. So right around the time of the listeners, as you're hearing this podcast, Gussie's shipping out to Boston to start his mission. So we wish you all the best in that realm, and to, be successful in what you're doing. And I'm kind of glad to hear that, it's not some faraway country, because we'll still be able to be in contact with you, frequently, and hear how you're doing and get updates. So that's really great. So we're proud of you for that. We're proud of all of you and all of our young guns for all the accomplishments that they're all doing. I know that there's even more stories with your teammates in the young guns world of the things that they're going after for their next level in their life. So it's really good.
Just curious, what other interests do you guys have? Do you have, with the school and work and everything going on, any other interests that you guys dabble in or pursue?
I mean, I feel like with triathlon and nursing, that kind of takes a lot of my time.
That's a lot of it, yeah.
I do really, though, I love hiking and traveling and just kind of doing anything sort of outdoorsy. Whether that's kayaking or just going for a hike, going camping. Just love traveling. I'm really active in my church too. I love volunteering there. I volunteer with the middle school and high schoolers, so that's been really fun getting to kind of mentor them. But yeah, that's kind of my life outside of nursing and triathlon.
All
awesome.
right.
Trevin?
Not a ton, honestly, but the one thing triathlon definitely has done for me is like appreciate being outside, and I enjoy it a lot more now. Like if I go on a run and it's just a sunny day, I'm running just thinking like, wow, it's such a nice day. It's such an honor to be able to run outside, be able to push myself. And yeah, I mean, not too many hobbies outside of this, but this has kind of consumed my life. I'm the type of person that once I get into something, I really get into it.
Yeah.
So
we had no idea.
Yeah.
We couldn't tell.
Yeah. But yeah, no, triathlon is definitely.
Well, I think that's a good point about, being grateful and gracious about the opportunity to be able to participate, right? Whether it's the support of your family, the support of, people around you, your health, your ability to do these activities that are strenuous on the body, and its ability to recover and become stronger and faster and better. So I think that's a great point. That's a great point. Gus, what about you? Anything outside of this?
I like to think I have a lot of interest, but definitely in the last year, it's been a lot of, hey, what have you been up to? And I go, training and working, training and working.
Okay.
But no, I like a lot of outdoorsy stuff. I like pushing myself. So if I get an excuse to travel to somewhere I haven't been to before, I will. If I have...
If you could talk that into, going to another race.
So. I play bass. I lift a lot. I really just... I like challenge.
Yeah.
So
you play the bass.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, bass guitar.
What's your what genre of music?
I really like more like jazz bass
Okay.
and like R&B, but I've dabbled in rock and metal, but I do a lot of that and just looking for opportunities to get the next, I guess, like adrenaline rush from racing, feel that runner's high with different things. And yeah,
that's good. That's good. I know
jazz bass is no joke. So my oldest daughter is proficient in a number of instruments, and so when she was taking lessons, I wanted to take lessons with something, and so I started playing bass. Now I don't play jazz bass. It's all of mine. I would say is metal or rock.
Yeah. I was going to guess that, right?
But having read a lot about it and studied it and attempted to play different spaces within rock and metal, I can appreciate that. That is really cool.
I will say that I love playing bass. I never said I was very good at it, but I do love playing.
It's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's awesome.
That's awesome.
That's very good. So I know that this is a sports podcast, right? A multi-sport podcast. But, my experience when I was coming into the sport many years ago was I was learning so much. So it became the interest. It became the outside. Like if I was not watching YouTubes or reading books or, trying to figure a swim out, what I was doing wrong without coaching at that time. So I'm sure that has added to all the things that you're learning and you're studying and you're like, should I buy this? Should I buy that? Right. I don't know what I need or what I really need and what I maybe want to have, a lot of bright, shiny objects out there. So I'm sure that's probably in there as well. So that's great. That's great to hear from all you on that.
Yeah.
Anything else that we want to bring up? I think, I know there's one other thing. So for everyone, what's the future? I know you had those big goals, but what's like the short-term next race, next thing that you're doing here in 6 months to a year? I don't know. You're in Boston. You're going to try to run Boston?
Yeah, well, I wish I could participate. I'll be I have one more race that I haven't told my coach about, actually.
Okay.
I'm doing a half marathon in January.
Okay.
And then that's kind of going to be the topper until I could squeeze in before I leave. While I'm out there, I can't do much racing.
Got it.
And then I have some restrictions on working out and everything.
Understood.
So I'm going to just try to stay as close as possible to where I am right now and pick it back up in 2 years when I'm back. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so coming up December 15th, which by the time this is posted, I will have already done the race. But I am going to be doing Ironman Florida 70.3, which will be my first triathlon. So pretty exciting. And then definitely want to put a 140.6 on the calendar for 2025. I kind of have my eyes on Texas, but also open to other ideas. We'll see how I feel after Florida. I'll probably make the decision then on like which one I want to do.
I laugh. Sorry, Caroline.
Why are you laughing?
Because as soon as you do it, you're going to be like, I'm signing up.
Absolutely.
And the Ironman will be right there with a sign up form right in front of you.
Yeah, I'm going to cross the finish line and sign up, sign my life away for another race.
Usually the next day, but it does happen pretty quick. The email will be in your inbox before you even know it. They're from Ironman. Like, hey, early reg just opened up.
That's right.
All these races.
That's right.
Right. So that's great. 140.6, outstanding. We see so many people going down that path, and, we're here to help you make sure that that's an exciting time for you as well. So great. Trevin, so you got plans on plans, bro.
Oh yeah.
You got plans on plans.
Other than, the two races in Moraine and the Pittsburgh half, I'm doing my first full marathon in April.
Yep.
And then I'm going to do Penn State 70.3 in June. And then also going to do Sandusky in July, which I need to talk to Scott because learning about, following the podcast, you guys always talk about you can peak twice per year typically, maybe like once in June, once in October. So we need to figure out a way that I can peak June 15th.
Well, you're
July
stacking
20th.
Some good races and you have some two very almost diametrically opposed courses, right? So it's going to be some different race strategies that coach will get you through.
And generally that period will go about 6 weeks long. So and those two races, if I remember correctly, are about 3 weeks apart because I did that last year. I did Happy Valley and then turned right around and raced Ohio. And because the courses are so different, right? Like, so Happy Valley, I would say, okay. And I felt pretty taxed. And then I went to Ohio and just tore it up. I mean, it felt really good. Yeah.
I think because they moved, Penn State last year was, I think, the 30th of
June.
It's the 15th this year. So there's I think there's 5 weeks between the two races.
Oh, that's good.
So it'll be even
better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that I should probably take one a little easier and really go hard on one, but I just want to try to hammer both of them.
Good for you.
Someone that works out with Trevin, he's playing.
I'm gonna miss my training.
Extremely humble man. This guy he was ready 6 months ago. But
yeah.
That's awesome. These are fantastic goals. Both the high level aspirationals of that you explained to us, and then now these tactical goals of next year, next season that are really going to get you ready for all these different things. Still working on your career, your mission, and your education. We're excited for you, and we're excited for all the other young guns out there. One mention I did want to make is, as we talked about those interests outside for Emily and Nate, it's skydiving. It's jumping out of planes, right?
I have been skydiving once, and I feel like seeing I see on social media Nate and Emily.
They do it like every weekend.
Maybe I should go again. I don't know.
They do it every weekend. I don't know.
I know they might be influencing me. We'll see.
Or they have a whole bunch of social or videos banked up for their social media. So
I think we need to get like a Young Guns or just Victory in general. We jump out with the flag or something.
That would be awesome. We need to do that.
Go.
Well, Sarge can arrange for you to have a flag to jump out of a plane with. I would definitely jump out of a plane too. I've jumped out of a lot of things. So all good. So maybe that's a thing. I'm not sure. We'll have to figure that out. So outstanding. Well, thank you three for being here and sharing your stories collectively and individually as our representatives of our Young Guns program. We're excited for your generation to experience the same, passion that we have for the sport and for the community and the other athletes that are in it, and how we just help each other through this. And you guys help us. You keep us young, and we keep you hopefully informed with our knowledge and our experience. So that's really the trade-off here, and that's how we all work together in the world and in this community of Victory Multisport. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I agree. I appreciate just all of the training and the effort that you guys put out there. That is fantastic. I will say to any other Victory athletes that are listening to this, feel free to reach out to the Guns, right?
Sure.
Like,
Absolutely.
bring them into the fold more, feed off their energy. You won't be disappointed. It's been a great experience so far, and I am super excited for the future.
And knowing all of them, they're as supportive as you are of other athletes. And I'll just speak for my own personal. I'm not going to accuse anybody of this, but I know that you guys are all faster than I am. So we'll show up and I'll say hi at the beginning, and I'll be back at the car eventually. Please wait for me.
Yeah.
Right. When we meet back up, whether that's to rack the bikes or to take off our running shoes and whatever. But it's always great to see all of our athletes at our events and at our meetups and at our group runs. We love every single one of you, and we're excited for everybody's individual, goals and aspirations as they come into Victory and they start to accomplish things. So, and you guys are no different. You're actually even more exciting because of the upside potential that you have for the many, many years that you'll have to be able to participate in this sport.
Totally agree.
Absolutely. Well, so we wanted to just thank our Young Guns. We want to thank our listeners for following us. And Trevin even commented that he's on his third go-round of re-listening to all the podcasts, that we're going into our third season after this episode. So our third year of producing a podcast. And so all the likes and shares that we've gotten over the years, we thank you so much for that. Please continue to follow us on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, or watch us on YouTube as well on our YouTube channel. And please, lean in. And if you think this is something that's on your heart, or you think, hey, I wonder if I could, you can. Please just reach out to us and reach out to any of our athletes, and they'll send you in the right direction. Yeah,
I do want to second that actually real quick, that anyone can do an Ironman or any sort of physical challenge or whatever goal you have. We're all just ordinary people that kind of made that decision of hey, I'm going to try to do something hard and be the best version of myself. I didn't used to always be disciplined. I used to hate waking up early when I was a kid. But it's just kind of this decision you make of hey, I'm just going to see what I'm capable of. So anyone can make that decision. Anyone can become disciplined. Anyone can do the things that all of us are doing. We're just ordinary people.
I totally agree.
Well said. Well said.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Caroline. Thanks, Gus, for being here. Trevin, thank you for sharing your story. You've been listening to the Victory Multisport Podcast. We'll talk to everybody very soon.